Good evening, everyone, and welcome to No Judgment Here. I am your host, Tish Ross. This is the podcast. Tonight, you guys are in for a super special treat, as always. I love all of my guests that have said yes to come on and to be transparent, to share their stories, and again, in hopes that someone else may catch a glimmer of hope. But before we bring my guest in, I have to show you guys the new addition to our family. I know that you guys that are listening via podcast and not watching on YouTube, you're not going to be able to see, but this is Lucy. Look at her. Isn't she cute? Can you see her real good, babe? This is Lucy. She's a little Yorkie. She's a new addition to our family. Lucy. And she's down now. He must be lagged a little bit. But I have wanted a Yorkie for a long time. I don't know if this is a good time to get a new puppy or not, but we did. She's only been here a half a day and she's already been tons of work. But you guys know how it is. If you're going to raise a puppy or raise a child right, it takes tons of work. So she may be up and down. She's still learning to sort of get acclimated with the other two dogs, and the other two dogs the same. So tonight we have such a special guest. You know, I met Daniel of Danimal Creations and Adventures for like the last few minutes at the Oklahoma meetup and the 10 Killer Lake meetup. Talked with him very briefly, but just the kindest, most welcoming individual that you could just approach or would approach you. And, you know, you didn't feel, or I didn't feel any kind of being standoffish or he was just very approachable. And then I have off and on seen him in live chats and lives, and I've watched a few of his lives. I've actually hopped into some of his lives as well. And one of his lives, I heard him sharing about being bullied in school. And I stayed on his live because I wanted to continue to hear what he had to say about it. And it is such an important subject to talk about because it's so very rampant these days in school. And I know that my own son and my daughter were also bullied in school. My son was super tiny when he was in school, middle school, high school. He was born in July, and I should have, which I didn't know back then, but I should have held him back. But I didn't really know to think of what some of the possible consequences might have been with him being so small. Super smart, but small. And he didn't bloom until his like senior year in high school and then afterwards. So we're going to talk about bullying. We're also going to talk about how Daniel started his channel and what it's all about. And we're also going to talk about when he lost his motivation to continue on with his channel, but he's back now. And my hope is that you guys will get to hear his story. You'll also get to hear about his channel and what it's all about, and in hopes that if you haven't already subscribed, that you will, and that we support him. So I'm going to bring him in, and then we'll say hi to some people that are here. We're really going to be mindful of the chat today. I'm sure that some of you guys that come in, you may have questions or comments for Daniel in regards to bullying. And so we're really going to be watching the chat closely this evening. The other thing is, if you yourself have experienced bullying, or maybe a grandchild or a child has, and you have questions about that, or you want to express or share something, please do so that we can acknowledge you as well. So I'm going to bring Daniel in and we're going to get this party started. Let me see if I can do this with this little girl in my lap. There he is. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on. I'm so happy that
Happy.
you're here.
Thanks for having me, and thanks to everybody in chat for coming, showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go up and we're going to just say hello to people in the chat. One of the things that I really appreciated that when Daniel and I were chatting Thursday, was it Thursday? I
Yeah.
started working and so now I've lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah, Thursday. Was that Daniel's very mindful of the chat and it's very important to him as well as myself. But I really, really heard you express that it's really important for us to make sure that we acknowledge people that have, taken the time to come in and watch a chat and support us. And so I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I believe that there have been some times when you have gone in on chats and not just you, but others, myself included, have gone in on a chat and maybe not have been acknowledged. And, that sometimes that's can be a bummer. Okay, little girl, you're going to have to get down. Go see what's happening.
Right. And if you happen to notice me looking away, I actually have my laptop down below, kind
Okay.
of looking, kind of watching chat, just kind of glancing at it, seeing it go by. And
Perfect. I love it. All right, super quick. We're
Yep.
going to welcome in some people. Marianne Bimler, she was here super early. I'm glad that you were here, Marianne. I hope that you have returned. Cora Phelps is here and Karen Brest. Hello. Melinda Dobson, I'm glad that you are here. Josh, Sherman's Family Farm, is here. He's one of my moderators, and I appreciate you saying hello to everybody. LaDonna, Kickapoo Crafty Cat is here. Thanks, guys, for coming in. And let's see. Peter, Old Man King Homestead is here. Thanks for being here. Justin, Backroad Freedom. He says, Mom, I'm here. I'm glad that you're here, Justin. He's another moderator. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that's here, and I appreciate all the mods to make sure that everyone is being acknowledged.
Yeah, and I happen to see Piggy's comment about him liking my wood. He's always liked my wood and the way I handle my wood. He's ornery about that, but I had to let him know I caught that one.
That's hilarious. Pooch with Full Blown Country is here. He's another mod. Thank you, Pooch, for being here.
Hey, Pooch.
Let's see here. Brian is on the road and he will be here as soon as he can. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know that. Let's see who else. There's Marianne. Oh, Rebecca Touched by Yarn. She is here. And I'm moving quickly because I want to get started. And also, if you have the opportunity to share this live on your platform now, that would be great. I would so appreciate it. I know that as many people that can hear this story, it would be great. We want to help as many people as we can. Cowboy Steve is in the chat as well. Dot Roper is here. 9 Acre Family Farm is here. Thanks for being here. There is Let's Trade Paint, Sean. Gary, Jailbait and Tackle Outdoors. He says, howdy from Hurricane State of Florida. Gosh, I hope that you're safe, Gary. And Cowboy Steve, I'm glad that you finally made a live. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. Let's see who else. There's Piggy. Scrolling on through. Thanks, Piggy, for listening. I appreciate you. Back to Good is here. Thanks for being here. Hello, Linda Okie. She is here as well. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Who else?
Because the TV's connected to Wi-Fi, so I brought it up in case you might want to watch or listen. Or
hi, Samantha. Thank you. Josh says Dan is a great guy.
Thank you, Josh.
And go Days. There's David and Samantha. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And don't forget to share if you can. At least hit the thumbs up if you don't want to share. I would appreciate you sharing, but to each their own. Leanne Gunther is here. How are you, friend? And I'm trying to go quickly. I don't want to miss anybody, but I know that we want to start. Again, if you have questions or comments, please leave them. And we'll get to them as much as we can and as soon as we can. North Missouri Outdoors is here. Thanks for coming in and being here. I appreciate your support. Let's see here. Justin says that he has experienced bullying in middle school back in the 6th grade. Wow. So many. And you know what? Daniel, I'm so glad that you're here because a lot of men, it's a tough thing to talk about. I think for anybody, but I think, and I don't want to say especially men, but there are few people in general, men or women, that discuss their experience with bullying. But my son and daughter are very open people, and so I've shared mine, and boy, it sucks. Randall Rhino Outdoors is here. Hey, there's Kim Burris. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in forever. It's so good to see you. She
Yeah,
says
Randall
hi to
Ryan,
you.
he's a close special friend of mine.
Oh, wonderful.
Actually did a 24-hour live benefit for his wife when she was going through cancer. Uh, I didn't catch very many fish, but I stuck it out for a whole 24 hours, stayed awake, stayed alive the whole time, except for a couple little mishaps with phone overheating and some other things. But yeah, that was a couple years ago, and did what I could to try to help them out. We ended up raising, on my end, $1,400 in a week, 900 in the first 24 hours.
Wow.
And that was all on no notice. Um, I didn't want him to try to back me out or anything. So, that was early on. That was long before before I even had 500 subscribers. So,
wow.
yeah,
That is amazing.
and I'm sure he got a number of donations that went straight to his PayPal as well that I never heard about. So, that was none of my concern. Just I
Sure.
did what I could to try to help out. And we did good for him.
That's awesome. I love
But
that.
me and him, we've shared a good bond for a long time. So
That's so awesome. Wow. Wow. That's I'm sure, like with anybody that is going through something, whether it's unemployment, whether it's employment and it's hard to make the bills, whether it's an illness, disease, death, loss, needing funds to maybe have a funeral service, just anything. I'm sure they really appreciated that. There's Christine, Mrs. Gillum Farms. She says that she's been traveling all day. She's sorry that she's late, but she is listening. All right.
well, I appreciate
So
everybody coming in.
absolutely. So I want to go ahead and get started. And if I see some friends, new friends hopping in, there's Ken, Lone Cowboy Adventures. He is here. O'Rourke's Littlefield is here as well. They say, "Hey, Danimal, you got a lot of friends in here."
Yeah, I was just reading Jean's comment about her 11-year-old granddaughter, and that's sad, especially with this day and age with social media being mixed in, and it makes it so much harder because they can get you 24/7 year round, and not
Yes,
just during the school year.
absolutely, absolutely. Kane Sample is here as well. Hey, look at that! Jonathan Brady is here. He says, "Hey, brother,
Yeah,
we are in here. You have lots
that
of
is
friends in here."
John Brady. That's my best friend since I was 4 years old.
Really?
He's the one that's stuck around and been part of my life. Yeah, we played little league baseball and football together, and he's been through thick and thin with me, and I've been through it with him. And him and his girlfriend, they're the best part. They're family. He's my brother. That's him and his brother and sisters. They're all family. And
I
his
love
parents.
it. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and chat. Kevin with Hiking with Jackie Boy is here as well. So I hopped in on one of your lives most recently, and I had caught when you were talking about being bullied, that you were bullied in school, and then some of the effects, and even when you and I chatted, even some of the after effects that sometimes we still deal with, and like we shared, there were some effects that I deal with from other things as well. But I want to talk about you. So tell
Right.
me a little bit about how that started, what kind of bullying was it, how did you deal with it, and then what are some of the remaining effects from it?
Um, I grew up same kids going to the same school from kindergarten all the way up. I grew up in a small town about 25 minutes east of Oklahoma City, downtown Oklahoma City. Um, had the same friends, played baseball, football with the same kids, and most of them were the popular kids in school. Their parents had money. Their parents were the coaches. Everything else, um, everything was good. Extracurricular during school, it was like, you know, they know me. Um, and then, after hours, after school, on weekends, whatever, when my parents go play dice with their parents, stuff like that, you know, we were best of friends. But then during school, it was like, you're my friend. But um, going through elementary wasn't so bad. Um, and then I can't remember. I think it was probably sixth grade. I had a skateboarding accident where I ended up going face first into a driveway, and my top front teeth ended up going through my lip and shattering when they hit the concrete. Um, it caused quite a bit of scarring right here in my lip,
Mm.
which kind of made it look like a turtle beak. And
Mm.
so when that was happening, um, I had to deal with kids sitting there calling me turtle for at least a year, maybe 2 years. Um, that was hard. I've got a Polish last name, and I got called Stromboli a lot
Mm.
because my last name ends with ski. But people just decided they wanted to make it up, and I had to go through that. That wasn't the worst thing in the world. Um, like I said, I had to endure being picked on for an accident that happened, causing my lip to have that scar tissue in there, causing my lip to be a little bit misshaped. Um, and then a little bit of time goes by, and get into junior high, and we're in one of my science classes. We had a married couple that both taught. I can't remember. I think they were different grades of science classes, but I was in one of them's class, and like I said, I grew up with these kids most all my life, and uh, I can still remember who it was and everything. But Jason, um, I'm sitting there and I ask him a question, and then all of a sudden, these two kids behind us, um, they were troublemakers, but they decided to take it upon themselves to just start the rumor that I was gay, that I was asking him something, and it had to do with some kind of gay scenario or whatever. And
Mm.
I think I was in seventh grade at the time, maybe eighth. And so for pretty much a whole year at least, I had to go through dealing with everybody calling me and thinking I was gay, which couldn't have been further from the truth. I mean, hell, we were in junior high. But that was one of those situations you can't control. You got a couple kids that are troublemakers, bullies, and they decide they want to just start spreading rumors, and all of a sudden it sticks, and everybody stays with it.
Mhm.
Um, so that kind of stuff, it sticks with you. And I wasn't. I think I was probably one of the smaller kids. As far as height, I wasn't short, but I was still small in stature and everything. It took until a few years after high school before I ever actually put on weight. Um, I'm 6 foot 215 now.
Mm.
What a lot of people consider a big old boy, and I've actually had guys at the bar come up and be like, "Damn, you're big." I mean, I'm just me. But I was smaller back then, and I didn't. I just I wasn't the bully. I didn't have any reasons to be one to fight or anything else. So it was just you kind of just had to take it.
Mm.
You
And
know,
so you didn't And I asked this question because I had even asked my son at one point. Um, he never told me until after he graduated. You didn't tell anybody. You didn't tell your parents or anybody, or what did you? How did you deal with it?
Honestly, I really can't remember. I mean, I think this all started around like 90, 91.
Mm,
I'm 43 now, so that was about 90 or 91
gotcha.
when all that started. The junior high stuff, yeah, that was probably about like 93. Um, I honestly can't remember what
Mm,
I might have told my parents about it. At that time back in 90, 91, my dad was working full time and he was also going through uh, aircraft mechanic school.
mm,
So I didn't see much of him for almost 2 years.
sure.
Um, that kind of made things a little rough. Um, so me and my mom was kind of one of my best friends. Um, and even as I got older, it, I did a lot of talking with my mom, but I really I don't remember what it was like back then, and
Mm.
how I handled it. I think I probably just you know kind of stayed quiet about it, probably.
And so, did it continue on in high school?
Um, Not really. Um,
No.
I was never part of any certain group in high school. I was never popular, but I knew everybody because I we went to a school. Our school system was two different schools, two different towns. When you get to high school, the two schools, two towns, they converged to the same high school.
Mm,
So growing up, the skating rink and playing sports and everything, I knew a lot of people from Tacoma Park. Um, it didn't. I can't really say that it really continued very much in high school. I did have some of my good friends. I had a good group of friends that I hung with on a regular basis in high school. It did come down to uh, I was playing baseball and it was my sophomore year, and we had our after hours practice, and I ended up having to leave early one day, and I can't remember why, a doctor's appointment or something. I don't remember, but ended up coming back to school the next day, and one of the guys on the team was like, "Hey, somebody stole my Oakleys from my locker, and it was you." And I'm just like, "No, I have no Oakleys. I didn't take anybody's. I didn't take anything." And that just continued on, and he carried on and on and on until finally I just had to give in and fight him.
mm,
Um, Honestly, that was my first real fight in school.
mhm,
Um, and it ended up happening, and John Brady and his brother and some others, some of the other friends back then, they were there with me. Um, Come down to we ended up fighting. The guy had apparently had, I guess, from what I was told, he ended up putting like his older brother's class ring on. Um, got a good hit in my eye. I couldn't see, and I just, I had to call it quits. But after that, everything pretty much ended.
mm,
Um, and it's BS that you know, I don't know what it was. It's one of those things where, oh, okay, well, I really don't like you, but you know, I'm gonna get you to fight me, and whenever it finally does, then okay, we're cool. And he knew all along I never stole his glasses, but
and
um,
so, what kind of advice? I mean, let's say advice that you would give your son, or to any other young boy, or I mean, gosh, uh, maybe it would even apply to some girls. And I do see some comments already that we'll acknowledge here in just a sec. But what kind of advice would you give to your son if he came to you? Maybe he won't, but if he were to come to you and tell you, Dad, these kids are picking on me, I haven't done anything, what kind of advice would you give him?
um, I think honestly, I think it's gonna start out with you know just try to shrug it off. Um, if it doesn't change, if shrugging it off or telling them to stop, if that stuff doesn't change, then I will go have a conversation with those kids' parents. I will make something change. And if they don't, then you know what? He's going to be free to
Defend himself.
fight back. He's going to be free to fight back.
Mhm.
And, if it comes down to push and shove, anything like that, I will tell him to let his fist fly because, that stuff, there are too many times I let that stuff fly growing up. I also there was two brothers that I grew up with. Um, so we had our elementary school that I went to. Then we had JGI, and then there was Choctaw Elementary, and then there was Nakoma Park. Well, there was a couple brothers that one was the same age, one was younger, but they were both bigger kids. And the younger one actually tried starting a lot of crap with me, and he would do it in gym class. And he would do it knowing that I wouldn't do anything about it. And I look back and I think to myself about all these times from him, from everybody, that I didn't really stand up. Yeah, I'd yell and hope that maybe the coach or the teacher, somebody might respond, but I should have taken action. I should have. And fighting is not always the answer, but sometimes you've got to let them know, because if they won't stop, sometimes physical force is the way I see that. Sometimes that's how it needs to happen. Sometimes that's how you shut people up.
Yeah, I mean, and I hear that a lot from people that have been bullied, and I can say even from my little brother who I had no clue, but there was a kid that came and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm here to see your brother," and I'd never seen him before. I didn't, and my brother didn't share with me what was going on, but so I just went inside and I said, "Hey, there's a kid in the front door that wants to. He's here to see you." And then
Right.
later, I found out that they were like on the side of the house having it
Trying to
out. My
jump in.
dad had to break it up, but that kid never bothered my brother anymore. But I hate that it comes to that. I don't understand. Like you said, I don't understand why it has to be that
Yeah.
way.
And I think that when it comes down to a bully, I think that's all they want, is they want you to react. They want you to do it. And then when you finally do it, that's when they're like, okay, and yeah, there were a lot of instances where I should have just let things fly, and I should have done it,
Mm,
because that also kind of formed who I was growing up. Um, there's been a lot of me being pretty passive. Um, I'm not afraid to, but when things come down to it, yeah, my nerves hit, the adrenaline hits. Um, there'll be a lot of anger, there'll be a lot of everything that it might lead to me crying first,
mm.
but eventually it's going to come down to and that's just how my body reacts. That's how I react. But and I haven't been forced to be in that position in quite some time. As I've gotten older, I have been able to handle and defend myself. And I didn't get taught how to defend myself growing up. Um, so yeah, I've had to kind of do it as I've gotten older, and just kind of learn as I've gone.
And something that when you and I were chatting, I had asked you if there was anything that you still sort of deal with in terms of, um, for lack of better words, like after effects, or uh, maybe I don't know. I don't know if it would go as far as PTSD, but some things that maybe you still deal with, or maybe might trigger your mind to think. And what are some of those things that you still have to deal with?
Um, Honestly, I don't think I really have to deal with it so much nowadays. Um, you know, I, as you get older, you're always dealing with people giving you
Mm,
crap. I worked in construction for, well, about, I think it was about 22, 23. I started back at the shop in Norman helping my dad. I worked there for 8 years, and then ended up out in the field operating cranes and other heavy equipment for almost 12 years. And then just recently got my new career. Um, but working in an all predominantly male career, you're going to deal with people. You're going to deal with a lot of testosterone, a lot of hotheads, people thinking, you're not doing something right or whatever. Um, it, I think growing up, dealing with the stuff that I did has also kind of prompted me to lose a little inhibition as far as speaking my mind
Hmm.
and telling people how I feel, or not backing down so much. And I think sometimes that is also a negative thing, because there have been times that I think I've kind of overstepped things by speaking my mind,
Hmm.
when I feel like I'm kind of cornered, or kind of in a bad place, and maybe I took it a little bit too far.
Hmm. I understand that, but I think a lot of us deal with, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us deal with sometimes, just like you said, not knowing, maybe speaking too much or maybe not saying enough. And I'm the person that I'm not a quick thinker. And so when someone does something that I might later consider being spoken to in a disrespectful way, or someone super aggressive towards me, then I am the type of person that after it's all said and done, I'm driving home and I'm home. I was like, oh man, I should have said this, or I
Yeah.
maybe I could have done this, and I don't know what the better of the two is. Is it better just to walk away and say, you know what, that's them. What they think about me that's on them, not me. I am who I am. You don't have to like me. If you like me, great. If you don't, great. But
Right.
what you think about me, that's your business, not
Yeah.
mine.
And go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just, a lot of it has brought, a lot of anxiety. Um,
Mm,
and there are a lot of times that my anxiety, I'll have things weighing on my mind, and I'll be just, the anxiety will get the best of me to where I can't even, almost just shut down, and I can't talk.
mm,
Um, I can't get anything out, and my anxiety will hit to the point where I'm shaking. And, you know, hey, John Wiggs, I see that. Um, and hi to everybody who has said hi that I haven't acknowledged, or that has come in since the show has started. Um, but yeah, anxiety is still there. That's a big thing that I still deal with from time to time.
mhm,
Um, Now there have been a couple cases in recent times that, even after starting YouTube, that um, there's been one or two people on here that just can't seem to grow up and be the bigger. I've done what I could to be the bigger person, and
mm,
ignored everything, kept my mouth shut. Not said their name in a live stream, not acknowledged when they sat there and talked crap in a chat. It's I ignore it,
mm,
because I want nothing to do with that. I'm trying to live drama free, not have
right.
any kind of trouble. I try to be friendly with everybody, and like you
Absolutely.
said, I try to be approachable. I try to be somebody that people can sit and talk to,
Mm,
or want to come up and say hi to. I was really apprehensive about going to the meetup, because, as I'd said in previous chats before, that I dabble around, and I spend time in a lot of different communities on YouTube, and I know a lot of people, from you and Pooch to a lot of other people in the homesteading community and stuff. And then, when you go into a number of the people from that communities, when you go into a number of their lives, and you sit there and you try to talk to people, and you go in there and you have maybe one or two people even say hi, the host doesn't acknowledge you, stuff like that. It's like, well, where's my welcome? Why should I even hang around? So,
mm,
and that had happened a number of times, and that meetup came, and it's only not even 2.5 hour drive from my house. And I was
mhm,
like, you know what? I'm gonna go. Then it was no, I'm not even gonna bother. And then finally, I just loaded up all my stuff. I hit the road and I went. And I had a great time. I met a lot of good people. I got to meet you and Pooch in person. I got to meet Mike and Terry, Josh from Sherman, Goat
Mhm.
Days, 9 Acres, Justin, Backroads Freedom, um, Jan and Brenda, all kinds of nice
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
Um, and we had a lot of fun that Saturday night. I didn't make it there till 6 o'clock Saturday evening, but from the time that I got to meet Maddie. Maddie's
Mhm.
been a backwoods mindset. He's been one of my favorites for a long time, and I got to hang out with him. Uh, Lindsay and Drew, just had an all around great time
Yeah.
hanging out. You know, having some adult beverages late into the night and playing on some stilts that Jan had brought and doing all kinds of things. So, but it was a great experience to meet a lot of different people of all different walks coming
Yeah.
into them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there is still a bit of social anxiety that I
Mm.
have too,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that might still linger from some of that stuff.
I totally understand that. So a couple of questions or a couple of comments actually in the chat. Kevin Hiking with Jackie Boy that he experienced bullying because of having a neurological disorder.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry because these are things. Just even if it's not things that you can't help. I mean,
Right,
you know, uh, busting your mouth open. I mean, that's not something that you can help. Having any kind of disorder or disease. Kids are just so
right,
kids are brutally honest, and then kids can be super nice and super sweet, and then kids can just say some things that are just downright mean.
right.
Um, Let me see here. Here's Jean. Jean says, this may be what you were talking about earlier. Hey, happened to listen. My 11-year-old granddaughter got bullied last school season and it continues all summer. It started social media with someone saying she called these girls a bad word. And
Hmm.
oh, I'm sorry, Jean. And she says the school did nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say. Jessica Smart
right.
says Danimal is famous.
But
Kane
yeah,
Sample says Danimals is legend.
that,
But
I'm
it's
just
just so bad now. I mean,
yeah,
schools unfortunately are scrambling to even get teachers to teach, and it's just
right.
it's just terrible. And I'm so sorry for anybody that has had to go through any kind of bullying or your children have as well. Uptown Chrissy Brown is here.
Yeah, and like I
And
said, now with all the social media, we didn't have social media back in the
right.
early '90s, late '80s, early '90s, mid '90s. Um, you finally ended up with AOL chat rooms and Yahoo chat rooms in the late mid '90s, in which I spent a lot of time in actually, and made a lot of really good friends uh, back then. And it, I found it easier to make friends online than I did in person.
Mm,
And I made a ton of really good friends. One of them ended up being my roommate um, at one point in time. Um, I've traveled all around and I've met people in different places that I've been. But with the fact that there's so many different social apps, there's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everything. I mean, it's just the reaches are endless, and all these apps where people can doctor pictures and videos and everything else now. It's making everything so much harder on these kids,
mhm. It
and
is.
there's just almost nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. I mean, and then when if parents um, take away electronics, then it's just very hard. I mean, I know that there are for younger children there are some different apps that you can put on for protection, but in
Right.
terms of bullying and social media, I mean, it's very hard. You have a
Right.
question here from Gary, and he says, does our guest have one specific incident that truly disturbed you the most?
Um, Honestly, I think it was really the part of having to deal with kids assuming and calling me gay for a whole
Mm,
year
mhm.
at least. And a lot of times when things like that happen, and I kind of realized, or back then, from what I can recall, is like when the school year ended, you had your summertime, and then you go back to school, and some of that seems like a lot of people just kind of gave up on it, forgot about it, whatever, and that things kind of just kind of changed. There was still the lingering people, but that one definitely was one that really hurt and bothered me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I want to move into your channel and how you started your channel. I have had the opportunity, and I see that your link is in the comments. But I've had the opportunity to go back through and check out some of your videos, and I absolutely love that your YouTube channel name just very best describes exactly what your channel is
mm,
about. There's creations and then there's adventure. And I saw, like we were chatting earlier, I saw a picture of or video of your son, and he actually you had him on his video, and he was actually doing a mail call.
yeah,
Some mail came in for him, and he was talking about the size of fish that he caught. And um, there was also just there's so much video on a lot of the art
mm,
work that you do, the metal art. And there was one particular, well, we'll get to that in a minute. I first want to go back to my first question because there's so much. But how
that's
did
fine.
you
I got all night
start?
doing it.
How did you start your YouTube channel? Why and what made you
Um,
start it?
well, I'll kind of start out with years ago when I first got into making my artwork. Um, I watched a lot of YouTube way back then, back around like probably 2007, 2008. Um, and I was like, I was so fascinated with watching these people make their stuff and post their videos, and it was just I loved it. And I had the goal at that time to start a YouTube channel. I wanted to, and I never spent the money. There was a period of time where I had plenty of money to do whatever I needed to do, and I just never did it. Um, but I never started anything. Um, and then years go by, um, and it kind of came down to, so in September of 2020, me and my son's mom split after almost 5.5 years. Um, Work was slow, money was very tight. I had
Mm,
nowhere else to go but to come back home. Um, I was here. Life was difficult because I was in between jobs. I was dealing with me and my son's mom splitting up and things
mhm,
not going very well. And then 2 months later, middle of November, my mom died. And 2 weeks after that, my grandma died down in Florida. That was my mom's mom.
mm,
Um, Really, the only thing I could think to do after me and her had split up was that I even had money for. The only thing I could do to try to do was go fishing. I just, when things went south, I had grabbed my fishing stuff and ended up at the lake.
mm,
But fishing was about the only thing I could think that I already had the stuff to do. It didn't really cost me any money at the time. So I started fishing. And then, well, I started having issues with some of my knots failing. And when those knots had worked for years, for some reason, they just weren't working. So I get on YouTube and I started looking, and I started looking at better ways to tie catfishing rigs. And then I just happened to stumble across live stream. I did not know that YouTube had live streams with chat room. Um, One of the first people I came across, I watched him quite a bit before I ever put my name in there. And I didn't have a channel name. I just put my name in there to start chatting. Um, After a while of being in that channel, this person was not, and he wanted his chat to go exactly the way he wanted it. He didn't want outside conversation. He wanted it directed towards what he was doing. Anyways, I don't need to get into all that, but it just, I started kind of getting a little sour on that. But then I started finding other live streams. Kevin Lakin from Palmetto Cats. He's one of the first ones that I came across. He was actually one of the first ones after that. He was doing, I think at the time, that was when he was doing a 24-hour live stream from his pontoon boat.
Hmm.
And I spent a lot of time in there. And then I'd found some others, DMV Whisker King, Kenny. He's another one of my favorites. I'll be there with Kenny as long as he's going to be around. He's just a down to earth guy. Just puts all he can into his channel, into his subscribers, is everything. Him, and then the Fishing Magician 2.0 Mark. I started just finding different live streams and going from there, and talking to a lot of people in chat, and had a lot of people, hey, when are you going to start your channel? When are you going to start your channel? Well, I couldn't think of a name, and couldn't think of a channel name that really fit. Nothing, just nothing with any kind of creativity to it. And then I was just like, you know what? I got my artwork, and then I was like, I'm not solely going to do that. And I do my fishing and stuff. So I was like, well, it started out as just Dan's creations and adventures. And then uh, one of my buddies that I met through the live streams, he started calling me Danimal. And so one day I was just like, you know what? Hell with it. I'm just going to change the name to Danimal. So that's how Danimal's creations and adventures came. Um, don't have too many adventures on there yet. I've the way everything has gone, the adventures have not really gotten to begin yet, but they're going to be coming.
But that's
Um,
good.
and it just, a lot of people stick with one thing for their channel, and those people, their channels grow and grow. I just, there's too much of life, too much to life to just stick to one thing.
Hmm.
And I like to do a lot of different things. So I just figured, I'll just put it all on my channel.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Mhm.
totally get that. I mean, and for those that maybe do all of the same thing, I'm sure that makes is really great for them. But for me, being a person that, first of all, have a hard time focusing on just one thing as it is, but
Right.
I like to do a lot of different things, and so for me personally, not for anybody else that does it, but for me personally, I would say that would limit me. I would really then have to start thinking of things to do along the same lines all the time. So, but those people that can do that, wow, that's fantastic. And so I noticed, this is what I was going to get to. I noticed that, so one of your videos, you have a really awesome award. It was called the Ultimate Whisker
Golden Whisker.
Golden Whisker
Mhm.
Fisherman Award. And it is on there's like a little round base.
Yeah.
And then the fish itself is made out of metal. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The fish and the bracket that holds it is all made out of steel. Everything I make is all hand cut, hand shaped. No, I don't have a lot of the tools that I could really use. A lot of things that would be able to save me a lot of time, a lot of effort, or just make things a lot easier and better. But I make do with what I have, and I've done that for years. I started my artwork. My dad taught me how to weld when I worked with him, taught me how to work with metal. And then one day I just saw, and I sent you one of the pictures I sent you is like three uh, little kind of triangular shaped pieces
Mm-hmm.
welded together. And it's only big enough to be a paperweight. But that was the very first piece I ever made. I just happened to see some metal, and I said, well, this will look neat welded up. And then my imagination just kind of started going with me. If anybody's seen the pictures in the promo video, those are some of my early pieces. Um,
Hmm.
I did basically back then just a lot of abstract stuff,
Okay.
um,
Hmm.
a lot of just stuff from my imagination. love, sharp angles. I love the twists and bends and just everything. It just I threw things together, and then as I ended up having to take a 10-year hiatus because I got laid off from that job at the end of 2011 and didn't have the equipment because my boss at the time didn't care that I stayed after hours and worked and made my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Got to use all the equipment there at work and everything. Um, but I got laid off from there, and then I ended up having to go work out in the field and everything. I didn't have my own welder. I didn't have a lot of things. I still had a lot of my own tools, but no way to, really make everything. Um, and then that's when, after I came back home, then I started seeing things and the fishing stuff. And so really I think I got started on one piece for a friend's channel that I've still yet to finish, and I feel bad because I've been promising it to him for like over 2 years now. Um, it's like 80% done. Um, but let's see. Yeah, that's true, John. Um, but then another one of my friends, um, I don't know that I can really. It's hard to really call people friends anymore. I don't know. I guess there was a period of time I considered him a friend, and now it's like more kind of like an acquaintance because
Mm.
I don't feel a friendship. I don't. It's not somebody that I talk to on a I don't hear from. I don't get texts from or calls or emails or anything else. But I look at people's logos and stuff for their channel, and I just happen to look at his logo, and I said, you know what, I can make this out of metal. So I said, hey, send me a picture of your logo, and he sent me the picture, and all I did was looked at it, and I made that piece. I made
Wow.
his logo, and it looked pretty much, with a little bit of change, but I mean, it came out amazing, and
That
a
is
lot of
so
time and effort.
awesome.
Yeah, and then I kind of started going from there. The piece that was the Ultimate Golden Whisker Award,
Mhm.
that ended up going to Kevin at Palmetto Cats. I made that because I felt like he put so much of his life and time and effort into the catfishing community that he deserved something special.
Mm.
Um, I initially had somebody contact me after I had already had the thought that, hey, I'm going to try to make something for him. I want to get it to CatCon, to the Catfish Convention. But I had somebody contact me and say, hey, I had this idea and I would be willing to financially help on making this. I said, that's awesome because I already had this idea and I've already been kind of sketching things out. Um, for the first piece one of the first pieces I was making, another friend on YouTube, she actually drew that catfish for me. I asked her to, and I told her how I kind of wanted the bend, the body bend, and everything to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she ended up drawing that for me, and I was like, well, I'm initially just going to do the cutout of the outline. And then I was just like, you know what, that's too nice. So I ended up buying a Dremel. I bought the handheld part for the Dremel, the extension, and I hand ground every single line into that fish. Not once, not twice, but at least 3 times. And
Wow.
I counted there's 155 lines in that fish
My
that
gosh.
not counting having to, go in and do all the shaping on the outside of the body once I got it cut and,
Right.
do all the fine cleaning up. But yeah, I spent quite a bit of money and a lot of time on that piece, and it's what came to me. The wood, that was only the second piece I'd ever made that incorporated wood.
Mm.
I'd never used plexiglass. I'd never used LED lighting, anything, and it was all a one-time thing. Um,
Wow.
there were a lot of details, a lot of things involved in that, and I put my heart and soul into that piece.
You can tell. I mean, it's a beautiful piece. I mean, even looking at all of the different pictures and Daniel, you were so kind to send me several pictures when I was
Mhm.
creating the promo, and there were just all so beautiful. It was just like hard to even to pick one. But you can tell that you put a lot of effort into them. You could tell on the fish. There's also a big what was it? It was a monster circle hook that I saw. There's
Yeah.
a master circle hook, but it was a big hook,
Yeah.
and several of them. And I just, I was looking at them and just zooming in because that's
Mm.
how I am, zooming in on and just looking at the detail of each piece that of the
Mm.
picture that you sent, and just you can really see how much hard work and heart and soul that you put into those
Yeah.
pieces. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work.
And just
Um,
to just give you a quick idea of how big those hooks are, they're made out of 1/2 inch round stock, and when they're finished, they're about 10.5 inches tall.
wow. And they
And
looked it. They looked pretty big.
yeah,
And
they're
so when will well, I want to go back just real quick. And you did mention when you and I were chatting that you had on that 10-year hiatus that you struggled um, with even being on this earth. Can you share
mm,
a little bit about that?
um, it really was. It was after everything happened with my ex, my mom, and my grandma.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, years ago, back in my early 20s, I'd had a good bout of depression that I dealt with, and it. I was driving down the highway one time on my way home. I forget where I was on my way home from, if it was work or what. And at the time, I didn't drive a fast car, but I was driving it pretty damn fast. And the thought in my head just came, what would happen if I just pulled the emergency brake and just saw, would it end? Um, and at that point in time, I told my mom. She was a nurse,
Mm.
um, but I told her, and she got me an appointment with my doctor, and I went in and finally got on some medicine. Um, but really, what got bad was after everything happened with losing my family, my home, and then my mom and my grandma. Um, that changed my life forever.
Mm.
And eh, I dropped my son off on New Year's Eve of 2020. I think I'd had him for Christmas and up until right then New Year's Eve, and dropped him off with his mom, and we had some words, I guess, and some alcohol was bought, and I just things were not going so well. Um, I come home, grabbed some of my fishing stuff, and took off. Um, the sad thing is, New Year's Eve was my dad's birthday, and I ruined my dad's birthday that year. I think I ruined a lot of people's nights that night because I was not in a good place. Um, I was fighting as much as I could, wanting my family back,
Mm.
knowing that I just screwed up too much and it wasn't going to happen. Um, I didn't really know where to turn or what to do, and that night it started snowing. I didn't care. It started out sleeting. Um, the snow got bad. I was, with all of it was to anybody was I'm not gonna make it through the night, and I pretty much kept my phone off for the whole night. Um, and, I'd turn it on occasionally, but I can remember ending up at the lake that I fished most at that point in time, that has a lot of covered docks, and I ended up fishing on that. I was on that dock, and I didn't care how much the snow was blowing in. I was fishing.
Mm.
Um, but I had a 25-foot stringer that I used for my fish that wasn't going to be used for the fish that night.
Hmm.
Um,
What stopped you?
my son, thinking about my family and how much I depend on my family and my family depends on me,
Mm,
especially my son. Not, thinking about the fact of how much everybody had already lost already,
mm.
and knowing that I didn't need to add to that.
Thank God. I thank God that you didn't. I thank God that, I don't see you ruining everyone's New Year's Eve. I see it's a blessing that you decided to continue to be here. I thank God really, Daniel, that you are still here. And um, I know that your family, I'm positive that they are still so happy that you're here and your son,
Yeah.
my gosh, I know. And it's, life is so, it's not easy.
No,
It's not easy. We all go through ups and downs and highs and lows, and it's never ending. It's
yeah,
ongoing.
and
But I thank God that you're still here.
thank you, me too, and thanks to everybody in chat that's sharing their feelings and their thoughts and everything. I haven't really been paying much attention to chat here, but yeah, it's if I had gone through with it, I mean, my son just started first grade. I wouldn't be part of that. I wouldn't have been able to take him down to go fish with our good friends down in Texas, and wouldn't have been able to see him bring in a 34.5 pound fish when he weighed 50 pounds.
My gosh.
Watching him, watching the joy on his face with
Mhm.
every fish, and every time we said, "Hey, one of you guys come get this fish," and he was always right there wanting to reel it in, and watching him with his cousins and his friends and just everything, watching him grow up, and he's so smart. He's fighting the school learning, the reading and all that stuff.
Mm,
He's finally starting to kind of work with us on that, but when it comes to real life stuff, working and doing things, he is just so smart, and he's amazing. I wouldn't have seen that.
yeah.
Um, you know, I my parents were married going on 45 years. They were about 5 months from it, and I know they had a lot of things planned, and it took a long time for my dad to finally be able to get his life back in order too, or back on track. But even being able to see him do some of the things, granted they're not with my mom, but he's getting to do some things in life now to make him happy. He just came back. He just took a 10, 11 day ride up to Montana and got to see Sturgis and Mount Rushmore and all kinds of stuff.
Mm.
Glacier National Park. He got to ride out to New Mexico and do the wild hog ride. He got to go on an Alaska cruise. That's seeing my dad do that kind of stuff is making me happy because there were so many years he just, he worked and worked. He had to support the family, and I think he felt like that was all he could do.
Mm.
And he's retired and finally able to enjoy life, and it makes me happy to see him doing it.
That's awesome.
To know
It makes me happy to hear that. So what's next for your channel? And then I have another question before we wrap up. What's
what's
next
next
for
is
Danimals Creation and Adventures?
what's next is to learn to edit video. I've been talking about doing that for a long time. I've had the same phone for 5 years, and I got so much crap. I got so much crap on there that I always got to clear stuff off because its internal memory keeps going away, and I'm like, well, I need to edit. I need a video editing software, but I don't have room to download it. So I'm like, I need to get me a new phone eventually. Um, but that's yeah, I need to learn to edit. I need to record things, and I have recorded a lot of my stuff, but not knowing how to edit, and then all of a sudden, if I screw something up, well, then I stop recording, and then I got to go back and fix it, and that might take me several hours to just fix what I screwed
Mm,
up.
hmm.
And then I'm so distracted, and I'm trying to get back on track, and then I just don't get back to recording, and I need to get to where I'm recording everything, and I can edit out, I can do bloopers, I can do whatever. But I think if I can learn to edit video and get out some actual production videos, I think that might be helpful to my channel rather than just always doing lives or putting out just straight to the point recorded
Mm.
videos. Doing intros and stuff like that. I've talked about it. I've got Canva, I've got stuff. I just haven't spent the time to actually work on learning how to do some of these things. And
Yeah, I
that's
mean
my
it's hard.
yeah, and I procrastinate a lot, and I'm really bad about procrastinating. But yeah, yeah, I think that's the next step for me is to um, really to try to learn to edit video. That way, I can actually try to
Mm.
put out some good content, some good videos that somebody's gonna want to watch.
Well, I'm looking forward to that because I mean, even the videos that I went back and watched, and I like your lives too. You are a very genuine who you are, what you see is who you are.
I
Very
try to be that way.
honest, just yeah, I mean, and I love that. I love that, and there are some people on here. Let's see. Our Works Littlefield said, "We walk the stilts." I brought them. Christine with Mrs. Gillum Farm. She said, "Oh man, I didn't get to meet you at the meetup." JB with Pure Okie. She says, "I'm so happy you showed up at the meetup too, Dan. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun."
JB's JB was awesome. She told me she gave me her phone number and she said anytime I want to come up. She said uh, she hadn't been able to get the boat out since her husband had passed. I don't know how long that's been, but she gave me an open invitation to come up, and if I can get the boat in the water and I'll drive it, she'll just tell me where to go, and we'll go out and we'll go fish together. I just haven't, with this heat and everything, it's just
Oh,
really been making it hard. But
yeah,
the plan, I plan on getting together with her, going up there, and she's an awesome lady, and I really
she
would love
is.
to get out and have her show me some things because I'm sure she knows how to fish and she knows where to fish up there at 10 Killer, and
Yeah,
she can teach me some things.
most definitely. I think we can all learn something from each other for sure. Let's see. Brenda with Freedom Redbird is here.
Yep,
She
her
says
too.
hello.
She wants.
Um,
I keep telling her we'll go fishing sometime too.
And you're right, it's been hot. It's been just too hot to do anything lately, but I really am I'm just so grateful, Daniel, that, we got to meet, and, I've seen you in a lot of lives chatting, and I've seen your videos, and I've seen a lot of your lives,
Hmm.
hopped into your lives, and, um, I'm just so grateful that you said yes to come on. There was something about
Yeah.
you that I thought, "You know what? I want him to come on and share his story because what you have gone through and what you have made it through
Yeah.
is huge for people to hear. Someone who might be struggling or going through the same thing. And I'm so grateful to you for coming on and being open and honest. Southern Wildfin is on.
Adam, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming in.
Lots of people here. So
Yeah.
if you guys have not subscribed to Danimals Creations and Adventures. His link has been dropped several times in the chat. Go and check it out. I promise you will have made a new genuine friend if you go and check it out. And I know that he'll check out yours as well. And after all of this, all that you have been through in your life up till now, I ask this question when at the end of every show,
Mm.
but um, and living, making it through some very difficult times in your life. Um, today, who is Daniel today? Who would you say that you are today?
Um, I'm a man that has persevered, that
Mm,
I've got drive to push forward. Um, it took a lot, but I made a career change. It was quite a major pay cut. And it was I was traveling. I was getting to see a lot of different things, but it was keeping me away from my son and being able to do my artwork and kind of work on some ideas and just try to stay in one place and
mm,
always, especially, be there for my son whenever he needed me or whenever I needed him.
mm,
Um, but I made that change. I'm just always trying to better myself and trying to keep pushing forward. Um, I'm trying to learn, always trying to learn something new.
mhm,
Um, I'm I don't know. I don't know really what else to add to that other than the fact that I'm me. I'm
mm.
the one that I love my family. I love my friends. I try to love as much as I can. I try to stay positive. That doesn't always work because there's a lot of negativity, um, and a lot of times my own depression, a lot of different things drive me down. But I find a way to get back through it and just
Mm.
keep pushing forward. And I'm just going to try to keep pushing forward and you know change as many lives as I can, even if it's just to try to make them smile just for 5 seconds. And
Absolutely.
smiling is through everything. If you gave me the choice, if you told me what gave me a choice of what movies I was going to watch, it's going to be a comedy.
Mm.
It's going to be something that's going to make me laugh and smile.
Well, Daniel, I can tell you that I see a man with just a huge heart, even not knowing you real well, but what I mean, I see, gosh, what a great father. I'm sure that your dad would say a wonderful son. Um, like you said, a survivor, someone who has pushed through, a man with courage and strength to
Yeah,
persevere, and a creative, adventurous being, and someone who has been very honest and raw. And I know that today, you have definitely made a difference in someone's life. I can see from all the comments that people are saying, and I thank you all so much. Stinkin' Stabby is here. O'Rourke's Littlefield has a lot to say that in terms of their son
yeah. And I
who
got to meet
suffered.
her. I actually have one of her shirts. She gave it to me at the get at the meetup.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my
One or
gosh.
two of my lives.
I love it. I love it. You guys don't
Yeah,
forget, go and check out Daniel's channel, and please subscribe. Go and check it out. Share his lives and his videos. I know that I'm going to as well. I thank you, Daniel, so much for coming on and doing so much good here. Thank you for sharing your creativity, your adventure, your personal life, and the courage and the strength to push
yeah,
through. I know that you've given us hope.
yeah. Thank you. And just you talk about me noticing I have strength in it, and honestly, I actually the one and only tattoo I have is around my calf, but I've got the Chinese symbol for strength, and I got that due to inner strength because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like some of the things that I've had to make it through and everything. That's how I felt. That was what that was for. Is just always having the strength to make it through.
I love that. I see that. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, you
And,
guys, if you have not had the opportunity to share this video or watch it from the beginning, you really need to hop on and watch it from the beginning and share it out. Daniel has shared so much of himself, and I believe has given a lot of people who will listen to it or who has listened to it tonight hope for sure. Any last words, Daniel, before we let you go?
Well, you had asked me to be able to show some of my artwork.
Yes, yes, please.
Actually, I didn't get around to it this weekend, but I did after I got off work. I ran out to my storage unit. This is all
Good.
older. This is all older stuff that I made back when I first started doing it. More of the abstract stuff, but a lot of it is back then. I made my stuff and brought it home, and I never actually like cleaned it off, clear coated it, anything. So it was kind of sitting in storage after being handled quite a bit and started to
Mhm.
rust. So I actually, after I got home, I got the grinder out and I just started going to town trying to clean a lot of it up. So
Oh,
that's
good.
why it actually took me until I got out of the shower at what was it? I was supposed to meet up with you at 6:50. It was 6:42 when I got out of the shower. I was like, okay, I gotta hurry
Oh
up.
my goodness.
But,
Yes,
so
I did ask for you to please share some. Thank you.
so here's some of the. So this was one that's a wall hanging piece I made.
Ah, that's
Um,
cool. I love
that's
it. It is abstract.
I think it's about 32 inches wide and like
Mhm.
20, I don't know, 28, somewhere 26. But that's a nice little wall hanger that I made. There's this one.
Oh, I love it.
That's you can see. Well, try to bring it down a little bit, but
That's okay.
so that
Oh, yeah.
just give you an idea. I mean it's old, but so
I
that.
love that.
Let me change my camera around real quick. Hello, you see me up close, man,
Yes.
and the tree. But so that way I can see what I'm seeing or what you're seeing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, so I got to where I liked a lot of. Uh, it's getting kind of dark out now, so you're
Oh, no, I love that. Oh, I love that. That was in one of your pictures.
yeah. So that one is right, just a little bit shorter than the other one, but that thing weighs close to like 50 pounds.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I had a lot of time into that I because the base isn't actually like a solid piece of metal. I actually made a frame and then I welded a piece of plate to the top of it. So actually shaped pieces into that kind of S shape on both sides.
I
And
love
then
it.
to get every one of those little things. So yeah, that's one thing I'm going to do is make a video, like a slideshow video of all the older stuff that I made.
Wow, that is
Um,
awesome. I love those pieces.
and then I got a few others that I brought out. Let's see. This one, I always thought of this one kind of like a hood ornament.
Oh, nice. That's
For some reason,
nice.
I always thought like hood ornament of an old car or something.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's all.
Wow. And it polishes up so nicely.
Oh yeah, and that's just hitting it with a flat 120 grit flap disc on the grinder. That's not even fully cleaned up like it was when I
Wow.
originally did it. Let's see. Oh, there's another. I got like two more that I brought
Yeah.
home, but there's another one that I did.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love it.
That's on I think a piece of 3/4 1 inch solid steel.
Mhm. Very nice.
I was just I It started out I just grabbed pieces of scrap metal out of our scrap pile
Mhm.
and would do that. And then this is one I always really liked that I
Oh,
cut that
yeah.
out of a piece of pipe. A piece of 6 inch pipe, but
Mhm.
at every angle it's different.
Ooh, yeah. I see that. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And this is a piece that my mom always loved and
Mm.
she wanted it and I was gonna I did actually spray some silver paint on it when I first made it, but I never really got to fully like refinish it. But yeah, that's
Oh, I like that. You know what? That reminds me a little bit of our son Ben. He was always very good at well, I don't know, like what I don't even know, just very artistic. He can mold and kind of make different abstract pieces. But those
right.
are beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing those with us. And it looks like Brian with the Vineyard Farmhouse says, I would love to talk to you more about making stuff, Dan. The two of you
Okay.
guys collabing would be incredible. That
Oh yeah, that'd
guy,
be awesome.
y'all two, um, that would be amazing.
And honestly, I never knew I had any kind of creativity or any kind of artistic creativity until my dad had shown me how to work with metal and weld. And then, like I said, I just kind of started grabbing pieces of metal, and then I was like, okay, well, then I can get the torch, I can bend them around things, I can do this and that, and make whatever shape I want. And it just seems like the metal is the main medium that I've been working on. And I do want to say, um, those of us are in a catfish community, and a lot of people outside also know him. But we lost a dear friend, Kenneth Powell, Saturday
Mhm,
after I think a little bit over a month fight
mhm,
with a battle trying to make it through after a major stroke.
mhm.
Um, but he was a dear friend to so many. Um,
Yes.
he was just a loving guy. He loved Jesus. He loved his family and his friends. He was just, he was trying to get back healthy before this happened so he could just get out and go fishing all the time. And, he just couldn't ever get there. But
Mm,
that is the next piece that I'm trying to finish up. And if any of y'all hadn't seen, I did a couple lives while I was working on it. But
mhm,
so Kenneth Powell is his name. And so I just thought, well, I'm going to try to make something nice but simple and hopefully get it done and maybe get to his bedside. I didn't get to finish it in time, but it's still going to go to his daughter,
oh,
um, and she'll have it know that that everybody, including me, loved the guy.
mm.
But I did say that's backwards.
Oh.
I don't know. Is it backwards to you
No,
guys?
that's
No.
good like that. That's
I
beautiful.
haven't cleaned it up yet, but there's big bulky welds that I still got to grind off and clean up. But
Sure.
it's a KP, and then I hand shaped this hook.
Wow.
That's going to be part of it,
Oh, I love that. Oh, she's gonna love that.
and I've got to figure out how I'm going to make the base. But I've decided I'm going to kind of change up my thought process on how I'm going to finish it, because there's a little bit of a twist that's going to go
Mm,
to it. It's not going to be bad. It's not going to be major, but I think it's something that's it's going to go along with Kenneth and his personality
mm, mhm,
and
mhm.
how he was. But yeah, it's
That's
you know, it,
beautiful.
thank you. I'm
She's
going to
gonna
try to
love
get
that. She's gonna love that and treasure that, and what a tribute to him,
yeah.
that piece is for sure. Wow, thank you so much for sharing those pieces, for bringing them on as I requested. I'm glad that you had them and you were and thank you for buffing them up and getting them nice
Yeah,
and, looking good. They're really amazing pieces. I thank you
yeah.
for sharing them.
I when I had my own place, they were decorations all throughout the house. Um, one of my favorite pieces that actually ended up going to uh, the Independent Arts of Oklahoma, to like they had a building opening or something, and that was I ended up giving one of my favorite pieces to them as a gift.
Mm.
Um, and I sent you that one. It was the one with like the 5 rings,
Yes, I
the
love
power
that
ring.
one.
And yeah,
Yeah,
I think you actually put that one in the
I
intro of
did.
the yeah. Kind of wish I'd hung on to that, but everybody's always like, "Well, are you going to sell that stuff?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I mean," and then it ended up being decorations in the house when I was with my son's mom, and
Mm.
well, now that I have nowhere to put it, it's in storage. And yeah, eventually I'm probably just, if there's ever anybody that ever wants to buy it, hell, I'll probably start putting it up. But yeah, I'm gonna make me a video with kind of a slideshow of all
Mm,
my previous artwork and stuff to kind of show people what I've done.
yeah. Yes.
Um, but yeah, Tish, I really want to thank you for having me on here tonight. When
You're
you hit me
welcome.
up about it, I was actually kind of nervous. I was just like, man, I was like, I don't really know, but sure.
Mhm.
Um, hopefully some of the things that I said tonight might have helped some people.
Most
Um,
definitely. It looks like even several comments. One Bowen from Thunderstick Homestead, he says, "We're so glad you're here with us. Your story is so inspirational and motivating." Um, I know that you have. I know that you have, and your pieces. You have so much. There's just so much shared tonight, and you have so much to offer, and I'm so grateful that you said yes to coming on, and I thank God that you're still here, and thank you for sharing and for agreeing to come on. Ann Dale Homestead is here, and she says, "I'm glad to be here for you to share your story, and hey, straightforward videos are good." So she
yeah,
loves your straightforward videos. So much support here from so many people. Thank you guys all so much for being here, for Daniel and for supporting my channel as well. But please, please go back and check out Danimal Creation and Adventures. You're going to see lots of cool stuff. I know I did, and like I said, I had just hopped into some of your lives and saw a couple of videos. But once you go back, because I like to go back and look, and really great videos, and you've got some people that have just subscribed to you. And so lots of love. And thank you, everyone that has come in and
definitely.
supported Daniel. And thank you so much, guys. I so appreciate you guys. Please share it out and help us give other people hope.
Yeah,
Daniel, thank you so much. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week. And thank you for taking the time out of your evening to hang out with me.
definitely, Tish. And I want to thank everybody that's been here for all this to listen to my story. That has subscribed to me, that's been here supporting Tish as well on her venture of doing this. Um, and thank you for all your kind words and sharing your stories, getting your thoughts and feelings out. Um, Also, if you do come into one of my lives, I try to be very attentive to the chat. I try to, it's not always the most family friendly, but I've actually toned down since I first started. I've actually gotten to the point where, yeah, I got to start thinking about the audience that I do want, and I don't want it to be an adult only channel.
Mm, yeah,
So yeah, I might have some bad words slip, but
we all
um,
do, I think.
it's not what it was. It's not just full throttle. But yeah, if you come to one of my lives, I will expect to have a social host, somebody that's going to be attentive, and you know that might change a little bit if I ever find the fish when I go out fishing. Um, the fact that I can't find the fish, that kind of helps me to always be there and be social. But you know what? I find them from time to time, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep getting out there, and then I'm going to continue to try to do some lives when we work on my artwork too, and just various things. Always, um, I like to share Dom. Dom loves being part of this.
He's
He's
so
always like,
cute.
"How many subscribers how many subscribers do we have?"
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
sweet.
Oh
He
yeah.
is so
Yeah.
precious, and he's in some of Daniel's videos as
Yeah.
well. Let's see. Hot Mess Fishing says, "Mom and I have been here all night. Good job, Daniel."
Yeah. They're
So you have a
special.
lot of
Her
supporters. So
mama, her mama's kind of an adopted mom of mine. She's taken me under her wing.
that's so
She's the
sweet.
one who she's the one that her mom is the one that made the pillow for Dom and the quilt
Mm,
that I've done a couple unboxings
hmm.
for, or mail call things. Yeah, her mom
How
is definitely a
sweet.
sweetheart and taking us in. So, Mama
Very
Netta,
sweet. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer, but I thank you again for
Yeah.
coming on, and I hope that you have a great evening and a great rest of your week. And again, thank you so much for sharing those pieces with us and your
Yeah,
story with
definitely.
us.
All right. Well, thank you for having me again, Tish, and
Absolutely.
hopefully talk to you soon.
Okay,
And
most
Tish, and
definitely.
everybody else, y'all have a good night, and
That's right.
love y'all. Appreciate it.
Love you
Been a great
guys.
time.
Y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining us in. Thank you for your chats. We appreciate you. Have a good night. Bye, guys.
Bye.